I'm moving abroad in exactly 1 year, and at the start of this month, I had $0 in my move abroad savings. And as of right now, that's entirely about to change. Over the next 12 months, I'm going to document exactly how I save $10,000 to move abroad, what I cut back on, how I make extra money, and share what I learn along the way so that I can show you exactly what it takes to move abroad when you're starting from zero. I know that finances is one of the top reasons why people never move abroad. And that was the case for me for several years. I decided in 2022 that I was going to move abroad. And since then, I have been trying to build up a savings so that I can actually get there. But because of life, things happen, and I kept ending up having to tap into that savings and ending back up at zero. So I want to film this process, one, for accountability, but two, to show you that even if you're starting at zero and you have a regular 9 to 5 job and you're just living on your own, or you have a ton of expenses, that no matter what the case is, you can save enough to make this dream happen, whether it's in a year or it's in a few years or however long it takes. It is possible, and I hope I can be the one to inspire you to make that happen. So this is episode 1 of my Move Abroad Savings Challenge. Let's begin. So I had built a move abroad budget a few months ago, and I've been using that to kind of explore how much it would cost me to live and to move to certain cities that I was interested in living in. In this video here, I mentioned how my dream city to move to is Munich. And while I knew Munich was expensive and it would take a lot to actually get there, I realistically knew that it probably wouldn't be the first place that I landed, because I just intuitively knew that it was going to cost more money to get an apartment, probably a little bit more to pay a deposit, and then in general, the cost of living is higher. But I was not prepared for the comments on that video to be like, I would not move to Munich if your goal is to save money. Do not move to Munich. It's so expensive. The cost of living is too high. And it did really trigger some of those fears that I have around moving abroad and ending up with nothing, like losing my job or losing all my income, my business, all of it. It's just like a fear because you're all alone in another country without support. So those fears were really highlighted for me after posting that video. So when I calculated how much it would cost me to move to Munich and it showed up as 18,000, as much as I believe I could do that, I just knew it wasn't in alignment with my financial goals. That is so much pressure to put on myself to save in 1 year in order to just move abroad. I just want to cross the ocean and get abroad. I don't need $18,000 to do that. And who knows if that's even as much as I would need, but you don't really know how much you need until you're moving and it's happening. I also ended up doing the math, and for 2 of the cities that I really was interested in, I really wouldn't be saving that much on the cost of living anyway. So like I mentioned in that video, I'm pretty confident that Munich won't be the place that I move to first. I may go somewhere else for a couple months or a year, and I'm actually very, very interested in getting my master's degree at the university in Krakow. So that actually might be the first place that I go to. So we'll see about that. And then I can actually go and visit Munich, make sure I like it, make sure it'll be worth the cost, and then it will all unfold from there. So the first strategy that I'm going to recommend to you, which is what I'm implementing, is to choose a lower cost of living country first. That way you just get there and you don't have to worry about spending so much money on a deposit on an apartment or even the Airbnb that you're going to take, or whatever the cost is to just get there. It'll be a lot lower than if you go to a higher cost of living city. And in my budget, I was calculating how much it would cost for me to move to Strasbourg, France, which ended up being around $14,000. And then Krakow was $11,000. So I was like, I could definitely do that, especially because I did add a buffer to the first and second month while living there on the budget so that there would be no surprises. I would have enough no matter what. So even $11,000 is an overestimate. I really think I can do this in just $10,000. Now, I work a remote 9 to 5 job where I get 2 paychecks every single month. I also run my own business and I do some freelance work as well. But like most people, I have a lot of bills. I have student loans that just suck money out of me every single month. I live in New York and I live by myself, so I'm fully supporting myself. So this is a realistic look at how to save for something big while you are somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck in an expensive state with a lot of expenses, student loans, an expensive apartment, but still finding ways to make that goal happen, especially by tracking every single step. So one thing I want to clarify is that I am not using any money that comes from my business revenue towards this move abroad savings. That money is going towards my other financial goals. The savings is coming from cutting costs from my freelance work, little pieces of the leftover paychecks that I have, and any other additional ways that I can make an income. So right now in our move abroad savings fund, we have $0. So the goal is to save $10,000 in 12 months. And this $10,000 covers all of the expenses that will come with moving abroad. So that includes all the pre-departure things like the flight, getting suitcases, getting my dog's crate, getting his surgery for his eye, like things like that. It's also going to cover things that happen while I'm there, such as getting an apartment, paying agency fees, setting up the apartment, getting a new phone plan, like all those costs are calculated into this. And then for the first few months while I'm there, I did add an extra 50% buffer so that I feel comfortable with my savings. And so if I can save a little bit more than $10,000, I'll be closer towards that buffer. But whether or not I do, $10,000 will be enough to get there. And the cool thing about moving to Krakow, if that's where I end up going, or a lower cost of living city, I'm actually going to have more money every single month of those first 3 months that are going to cost more because you're adjusting. So for example, the remaining expenses I would have in the first month is actually over $1,000. The second month, which would be more expensive where I'm getting an apartment, I would still have $278. And this is without any savings. This is just while I'm still making money from my job, and I didn't even include business revenue in here. Third month, I would have over $1,800. So that's really exciting because when I did this for Munich, that was very much in the negative. I would have like negative $6,000, negative $7,000, and that would all have to go towards this giant move abroad savings. So that's really exciting that I'll still have money left over from those first 3 months. So I don't have to stress so much because money will still be coming in. So what is my current progress? Right now it's October 17th, and I have been working towards this for a month. So while I was at 0 at the beginning of this month, I'm not at 0 right now. Oh my God, how long has that been up there? So what's the current progress? So at the end of September, in that last paycheck, I was able to transfer over $250 into my move abroad savings. So that's not as much as I would love to do, but my first paycheck of the month, pretty much all of my student loans come out of. I don't have a lot left to save from that paycheck. So $250 was where I started. And a few days ago, I got another paycheck, which just now I was able to transfer $350 into my move abroad savings. And then as of yesterday, I did get another freelance client for a project. So that was $300. So I am able to add $300 now to my savings account. So right now we are sitting at $900 in my move abroad savings fund, which is right on track with what I should be saving every single month. So even though it's 900 out of 10,000, that's still so cool that we were able to do that in 1 month. So another strategy that I've been implementing that I really would encourage you to use as well, whether you're moving abroad and creating a savings fund or creating a savings fund for really anything, this has helped me so much. And it's why I truly feel excited about those $900 instead of thinking about the 10,000, right? So when you're saving for something big, it's really easy to just look at that big number and be like, how am I going to do that? That's such a big number. All the money that I'm like throwing towards this, it's not really doing anything. So what I started doing is every time I make a deposit into that account, I think, oh my God, that just paid for this. That is a new task checked off. Instead of being annoyed that I could only put away $250 and still be kind of pushing it and kind of struggling for the next few weeks, trying to cut back on things, I can say to myself, I just paid for my dog Snowy's airline crate. That's so cool. I just checked that off my list. And since his crate is only $200, I'd still have $50 left over. So when I add in the $350 that I just put in, add the $50 that was left over, I just paid for Snowy's plane ticket. And then with the $300 from freelancing, that then pays for the passport renewal, the license renewal, the dog supplies for the move, all done, all checked off. So breaking it down into small goals like that was so helpful and such a good mindset because I'm excited now. I'm like, I'm making progress. I'm checking things off the list. They are paid for, even though they're not done. Like I haven't actually paid for it. In my mind, that's checked off the list because I had the money for it. So if you're doing this, I really encourage you to think of your savings like that. Instead of having $500 in your bank account and thinking, oh my God, I have $12,000 still to save, think, well, that's a huge chunk of my first month's rent. That could also pay for my visa fees. It just makes it so much more rewarding, exciting, and knowing that you're kind of checking things off a list. The second strategy I want to talk about is different ways to make money. So back in 2019, I started doing freelance full time. I did it until about the end of 2023. So I know how fun it is. I know how freeing it is. I know how good it is to kind of put your own price on things. And even though now I work a 9 to 5, I still do freelancing on the side because it's just extra money and it's really good to have that. You feel a little bit more in control of your finances. So my biggest tip, if you're somebody who's wanting to kind of create more money or have some more money on the side to put into savings, whether you're saving for a move abroad or just trying to build a cushion for yourself, you have so many transferable skills that you can use in creative ways to make more money that people would be really happy to pay for. A lot of times people think that they don't have skills or things that they could do freelance, but I promise you, you do. It also really helps to network with people because back in 2019, I took this YouTube course and I at the time was in school and my minor was video production. So I was really playing around with how I filmed my videos at the time on my other channel. And the woman who hosted the course and the program, she really loved how I did my thumbnails. And eventually I started working for her. I became a YouTube strategist with her for her program. Soon we started working with other channels and I would make thumbnails for other channels and help with strategy for those. So I was making a good amount of money with her. Because I developed so many skills around YouTube and thumbnail design, I started doing strategy for other clients too. I was also video editing. So I just had all of this happen to me because of the course that I took in my networking and just somebody liking my work. So now when I want to do freelance work, I can do thumbnail intensive, teach people how to do their thumbnails, how to do their YouTube strategy, how to get more clicks on their thumbnails. So I just have a lot of skills when it comes to the creative side of YouTube. Because I ended up doing this professionally for a couple years, I was able to then get a Fiverr account, which is a freelance website. But the Fiverr account became a professional account because I was doing it professionally, which means that you would get paid more, you could take on more clients that were higher paying. So if you're somebody who is looking for a freelance platform to make more money, definitely check out Fiverr. I love Fiverr. And the way to think about it is like you have such niche skills that you can then use for freelance. For example, thumbnail design is totally different than graphic design. I can't do graphic design for other things, but I know what gets clicks on YouTube and how the thumbnail can go in tandem with the title, and you just know what works. Whereas a graphic designer, if you hired a graphic designer for your thumbnails, it would not perform well. So then that's my competitive edge. So what is your competitive edge that you can add towards a freelancing job to make some more money? So like, what are you good at? What is your job? How can you take that skill and make it valuable to people, especially in a specific niche? So for example, if you're an accountant and you want to make some extra money, you're good at spreadsheets, you're good at math, you're good at bookkeeping, you could start freelancing and doing bookkeeping for content creators or digital creators or online businesses and create a monthly retainer for those clients. That's such like a niche thing that, I would pay for that. Somebody to keep track of my income for me and make sure I'm doing it all right. Being an online business or being a content creator or whatever it is, people would pay for that. Like people also pay for lawyers that are specific towards content creators. So how can you take your job and apply it to something a little more niche that people would pay more for? Same thing. So if you're like a teacher and you want to make some extra money, of course you can do tutoring, but you could also like host weekend workshops for parents who want to start homeschooling the kids, and you can give them an overview of how to do it, how to best be a teacher for their kids, and maybe even sell some assets that you create like worksheets and whatever towards people who want to start homeschooling. That is probably something I don't think a lot of people are doing, but that just came to my mind and that feels like it would be so valuable. So you just have to get creative with how you're positioning yourself. And I'm like a master when it comes to ideas. So if you have a question, you can always email me and I'll help you come up with an idea of what you could do for freelance work to save money to move abroad. The next strategy I want to talk about that I'm implementing that's really helped me as well is all about income mindset. Again, with the mindset, it's very important. I recently read a book called We Should All Be Millionaires. And in this book, she kind of ends it with a challenge to make $10,000 in 10 days. And when I heard that, I felt like my body clench up. I'm like, no, I cannot do that. That's hard. That's really, really hard. But she started giving examples of how you could do this and how other people have done this that she's worked with. And it all really came from putting yourself out there, really talking about what you have to offer, going on Facebook groups, promoting yourself, going out and hosting a workshop live in person, or just really putting yourself out there. So for example, say you are the teacher who wants to do some homeschooling workshops for parents. What you could do is, if you don't want to make $10,000, or if you don't think you can achieve that, you can lower it to something you feel is more comfortable, is what she says in the book. But you would post it all over your Facebook community. You would go network with people and talk about this thing that you're doing, and maybe do a weekend workshop for $200 or $300 for the 2 days, and maybe you get 10 clients, and that's $3,000, but that's $3,000 you didn't have before. You could host them every couple weeks or every month and have that income consistent every month. And all it really took was more creative thinking and really putting yourself out there. So she really got me thinking, if I just really put myself out there, specifically with my business, in person, and put it on Facebook groups and talk about it more with every single person I meet and be really excited to talk about it instead of being more shy, because I'm a shy person, I'm so sure that I could do this. But you just get in your own way. So while I don't think I'm going to try for that right now, in my mind, I now have this mindset of I could make $10,000 in 10 days if I threw all of my energy toward this, really pushed myself. So that now that I have the understanding that it's possible to make $10,000 in 10 days, it feels so much better to me thinking I can make $10,000 in 12 months. Like, come on, that's no problem. And the last strategy that I am implementing right now, I might come up with more along the way, but as of right now in this first episode, this is what I have, is having separate bank accounts for the savings. Because in the past, I have one bank, right, that has multiple accounts, and I have them labeled, and one of them was moving abroad, do not touch. Can you guess what it's sitting at? It's sitting at 1 penny. Because every time I would put money in there, something would happen where I would need to use more money, or I would just see it sitting there and be like, ooh, I really need to get this done. I could just tap into that and refill it later and never refill it. So what I did was I got a second bank and I used SoFi. They have a higher yield savings. If you put direct deposit, I think it's like 4% you get back, but I don't have direct deposit, but it is a little bit higher than what I would have somewhere else. It's probably like 1%. But either way, I never think about that bank account unless I'm going to transfer money into it. I never really look at it. It's never an option for me to tap into because I don't see it on a regular basis. It's out of sight, out of mind. So even though I had that one savings account called Moving Abroad Do Not Touch, of course I touched it. It was sitting right there. I could see it every time I logged into my bank account. Anytime I felt stressed about, oh my God, I only have like this much left for a couple days until I get my next paycheck. I'm gonna have to just lay low and make some soup or ramen or something. But then I see this like savings account sitting there, and when an emergency happens, it's sitting there. So of course you're gonna touch it. So I recommend getting a second bank account. I like SoFi. I never use it for anything else, but that way you just don't see it, and it doesn't feel real because you don't see it every day. So this is where I'm starting after episode 1. I am currently sitting at $900 in savings out of 10,000. I'm going to be checking in every 3 months with updates on how I'm saving, how it's going. I'm going to really pay attention to different habits I'm implementing, ways I'm making more money, and things that I'm trying to cut back on as well. And if you want to contribute in making this move a reality and getting to see all the content that comes with moving abroad, getting there, traveling around Europe and connecting to heritage and sharing all about that, teaching all about it, you now have a way to directly help this channel grow. I set up up a buy me a coffee account. So if you would like to buy me a coffee, that would directly go into the moving abroad savings. And I'll give you a shout out and a big thank you in my next update video in 3 months. I would be so happy to personally thank you for helping make this a reality. And I am just so excited to take this channel abroad. Like once I'm there, you have no idea the plans that I have for this. The program I was actually talking about that I'm curious about doing in Krakow is all about European heritage and getting to explore that and teach about that and make people feel connected to their heritage, especially through their citizenship through descent. I just think it all ties together. It's so beautiful. And I think it would have a really positive impact on the world. So I hope this video reminds you that you don't have to have it all figured out. You can be starting from zero. You just need to start somewhere, even if it's $5 here, $6 there, whatever you have, just put it somewhere else, out of sight, out of mind. And before you know it, it'll start to accumulate into actually paying things off. So if I can do it, you can do it. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.